are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Pregame Show for the Week 3 matchup versus the FCS Samford Bulldogs. Oh, wrong thing. That's what I wanted to pull up. There we go. And let's see. There we go. Getting everything ready for the show as it's being recorded. But yeah, welcome back. Week 3, Samford. Auburn is now 2-0 as they get ready to play a FCS powerhouse, if you will, in the Samford Bulldogs. I am here joined today by Harrison Tarr and John Conley, yet again wearing another hat as he has been watching film on the Samford Bulldogs. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. Game day eve. Happy game day eve to those who celebrate. And for those of you who are going back to town for homecoming, welcome home. So make sure, really excited to see the pictures of all the floats, homecoming parades. Super fun. I went every year when I was in school. So if you've never been, make sure you go check that one out. John Conley is back on the show. That's what everybody's most excited about, myself included. John, how are we doing today, my friend?
Oh, we're doing great. We're doing great. We're excited to be here. I'm super pumped to break down this game, and a game that I really think up to now, this third week of the season, after what we've seen these past 2 weeks, this game I think is really important for Auburn. Yes, it's Samford, but I think this game can be really important going into conference play next week.
Well, since you already brought it up, let's get into it. And I'll let you lead to your importance or why you find this game so important for the Tigers. And then talk to me a little bit about what the Tigers need to do and what you want to see out of Hugh Freeze and company come Saturday when FCS opponent and in-state foe Samford comes to Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Yeah, so pretty much with this team in this week, why it's so important is as we've looked at the past 2 weeks of Auburn football and specifically this past week at Cal, and things just looked weird. Right, like the play calling was weird on offense. You know, defense had its moments, but also had just kind of some weird spots. It was a very, very strange game for Auburn. And so if you are Auburn, you have a great opportunity right here against Samford to just completely put that all to rest and just say, hey, this is a new team. We're going to start anew. We're going to lay a foundation down right here that hopefully will carry on into conference play, especially next week when you go up to College Station.
Right on. Offensively, let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. And the hot subject this week has been the incorporation of Robbie Ashford into this offense. But from a holistic standpoint, Mr. Conley, what does Auburn need to do to get the job done? What do they need to look out for the Samford Bulldogs?
I think the most important thing for Auburn is, I know you guys have talked about it a lot. Do you stick with just Peyton Thorne as your only quarterback? Do you keep mixing in this 2-quarterback system? I'm a firm believer that whoever your quarterback is, you have to let them just be the quarterback. You can't keep rotating guys out and keeping them out of the rhythm. So this is what I want to see. I want to see whoever your quarterback one is, which as far as I know, and as far as I'm concerned, is Peyton Thorne. You make him feel comfortable. You have a game for Peyton Thorne where he looks like he should be quarterback one, where he looks comfortable. He makes the right throws. He airs it out a little bit. Out of this game, I want to see Peyton Thorne have some confidence that he's like, this is my team, and I know how to run this offense. I want to see him run this offense well, and it's not going to be hard. This Samford team does not really bring in a whole lot of pressure. You're going to have a lot of time in the pocket. They play with a lot of DBs. They play 6 DBs often in their packages. But this is, if you're Peyton Thorne and if you're Auburn, if you're Hugh Freeze, you have a chance for him to really grow his confidence here and say, this can be my team. I can run this offense the way I run it. And from then, hopefully he does that early on. You get Robbie Ashford in then, let him kind of run this offense. But if you go back to this back and forth where it's first down with Peyton, second down with Robbie, and then you go third down back with Peyton again, your team's going out of rhythm and your team's getting out of that. And so what I want to see is I want to see just a strong performance from Peyton Thorne to start, and then Robbie Ashford and your other quarterbacks as the game progresses.
Now, from the run game perspective, let's call a spade here, fellas. Auburn's a little underwhelming on Saturday against Cal. When you look at that running back room and how highly we've talked about it, how highly I've talked about it, certainly. What can Auburn accomplish on the ground? I know you mentioned you want to see Peyton Thorne air the ball out a little bit, but you really want to see a bounce back game for this running back core. What can Auburn do on the ground to really, one, make this a short game, and two, impose their will on the Samford defense?
Yeah, so for Auburn, their big thing is they need to run between the tackles. And you've got some hard-nosed backs, whether it's Brian Battie, whether it's Jarquez Hunter, whether it's Sean Jackson. Like you have a stable of running backs. run in between the tackles, play hard-nosed football. Again, like I said, outside, they play with a lot of DBs. They play with a lot of linebackers. So those outside zones that you're going to see kind of pulling to the right, to the left side or to the right side, that can work sometimes. But I really think if you can just go in between the tackles and in between the guard and the center in that A and that one gap, and then especially those safeties play deep and they're expecting some pass plays, you can eat up this team. And again, today, this Saturday's game is all about just getting back in the swing of things and finding some sort of momentum that you can build on for conference play.
Right on. Let's flip to the other side of the ball real quick before Dylan gives his thoughts here in a second. I'm sure he's going to backtrack in a minute about how he does want to see Robbie Ashford. But let's talk about the defensive side of the ball, what Auburn can do against this Samford offense. And I think you may have a little bit of a take here about what this Samford offense, what kind of a threat that they pose.
Yeah, so this team struggled a little bit to run the ball against Western Carolina, and they only scored 7 points. It was 30-7. I will say it was a weird game. There were some weird calls that I believe that were missed. There was a massive rain delay that put Samford completely out of rhythm, because this Samford team, it was the best team in the SoCon last year, and I think it has a chance to repeat and win another SoCon championship. I mean, this team has some talent, especially at that FCS level. The big thing with what you need to do on defense for this team is shut down that pass game. Michael Hires, this is my take here. I think, and I truly believe this, I think that the best thrower of the football in this week's game does not call Jordan Hare home. I really, really like Michael Hires. He's so poised. He has excellent pocket presence, great pocket awareness. He throws with anticipation. He does not throw to when the receiver's open. He throws to when the receiver's going to be open. And there were times where I saw that and it was on the money and it was great. And then there were times where I saw it and the ball would just go right through the receiver's hands, or he likes to throw, some contested one-on-ones where you just try to make a play. The bottom line is this team's going to air it out, and it's going to be completely different from what we've seen the past 2 weeks with Cal and with UMass. So for Auburn, really emphasize the fact that you have a really, really good secondary and shut down that pass game and force them to run, because that is their weak spot on this offense.
Dylan, I'm going to let you backtrack here in just a second, and for just a second, and pose any other questions, Mr. Conley, that you may have about this Samford team. Dylan, floor is yours.
Oh, I thought you made it sound like I had to wait a little bit.
I misphrased it at first. That's why I backtracked for a second. I was like, actually, I mean, you can right now.
I was like, I'm just going to sit here and wait a little bit before I can bring up. I showed it for a second there, but Red Zone Robbie. Auburn needs to get back to how they were against UMass. And in this case, Auburn, we talk about how great this running back room is. I know that we've been very heavy on pushing how much we love this running back room. This team is yet to have gotten a 100-yard rusher in a game. Even in the fact the season has yet to get one. Auburn needs to show that they can run the ball consistently. And this is a great team to get this. This is a practice. I don't want to call it a practice game, but you still have to respect your opponent. Auburn has to travel to College Station next week. This game is a tune-up game to fix everything wrong with the offense as much as you can in a 3-hour period. And I know you just brought up Michael Hires being the best passer out of every quarterback that might play on Saturday, which might be the case, because I've been very unimpressed with Peyton Thorne thus far. I think the 2 touchdowns he threw against Cal were less of him putting the ball where it needed to. The fair weather throw was beautiful, but both of those touchdowns were the wide receiver tight end making the play. I need Peyton Thorne to prove to me that I should take a step back in my Robbie Ashford love. I need him to do that. And I mean, I've yet to have seen that he can do it. And people talk. I got some comments about my tweet. And if you hate me. I don't care. Peyton Thorne looked like a deer in the headlights against Cal. And this Auburn environment is going to be very, very high for homecoming. And then they have to travel to the biggest stadium in the SEC, let alone, I think, one of the top 3 in the country in terms of population inside Kyle Field. Can Peyton Thorne prove to the Auburn fan base, because it's very split, as much as I'm getting hate from Peyton Thorne supporters, it's very split on who people think deserves to be the starting quarterback. Can Peyton Thorne prove to the entire fan base they should put faith in Peyton Thorne as a passer? And I mean, honestly, I'm going to bring up Robbie Ashford because I love Robbie Ashford. Let Robbie Ashford throw the ball like he needs to. Do not call play action rollouts without momentum. Do not call these deep balls to 5'10" wide receivers and expect him to make a throw when the Caleb Burton did not make a catch. I need to see consistency from these quarterbacks. And if Michael Hires goes out there and balls out and proves John Conley right that he's the best quarterback on the field, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's when Holden Gardner probably needs to be mentioned a little bit more.
You're probably not wrong there. I think to summarize all this before we get into beyond the Auburn game on Saturday and before we get to our picks, I think Auburn needs to go into week 4 in College Station and come out of this game with a quarterback 1. Period. If that's Peyton Thorne, great. If that's Robbie Ashford, great. If you're going into game 4 and you're starting your SEC slate and you still don't know who the hell your guy is, you got a problem because you can't win in this league like that. You can't win much, at least. It's tough to do. And I think that you guys summarized it perfectly. If Auburn doesn't have the best quarterback on the field on Saturday, which to your point, John, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're the best thrower of the football wears orange and blue, but unless you want to throw in Holden Gardner because
I was going to say, maybe he does. He just won't play.
That dude can throw the football. But you have a problem. Let's go around now. Let's give our game picks. Then we'll ask people if they're feeling loopy, and then we'll get over to our around college
Verbal
football pick'ems. That's right, Mr. John Conley, the Swiss Army knife of the College Loop. I think that's going to be your new name. I think that's what I'm rocking with is the Swiss Army knife, the College Loop Swiss Army knife. First off, we appreciate you, brother. Always bringing the heat, and you're the man. Second off, what score this ball game on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening?
Awesome. I appreciate always being here. I love being a part of this. It's been so much fun every time I get to come on. And even when I'm not on, getting to watch and get to be a part of it, it's been so much fun. This should be a game that Auburn takes care of business. Again, I want to see Auburn play their best football this week to have momentum to roll into College Station. And so with that, I'm going to go with a 63. I'm going to say 20, but with some garbage time, 5 minutes left in the game, touchdown from Samford. I'm not. Whenever I said that Michael Hires is the best thrower of the football, you have to take into effect, circumstance, situational type things. He is playing against Auburn, and he plays.
Say it with your chest, brother. You can defend your take. I'm with you.
Yeah, no, Samford. Samford does not have the talent that Auburn has. I do believe that Michael Hires is the best thrower of the football in this field, but the supporting cast around him might cause those stats to slip, and that's an opportunity for Peyton Thorne to say, "Listen, Samford does not have the talent around them that you have around you. Take advantage of that. Have a great game." So I'm rolling with 63-20, some garbage time touchdown towards the end, and hopefully Auburn just plays complete football from kickoff to the final whistle.
I like that, John. I'm going to go a little lower on Auburn's score. I'm going to go 58, but I'm only going to give Samford 7. And it's not a discredit to the Bulldogs as much as it's this, like Dylan says, got to be a tune-up game. You've got to impose your will, and both sides of the ball have got to have some momentum going in to Kyle Field and Aggie Land next Saturday. And we'll have a completely different, vantage point of this team after that weekend. But Dylan, the much-awaited Dylan Larck, your boy the Tank Take, your prediction for Auburn versus Samford, 6 p.m. Central Time under the lights.
It was a light show, too. First game you get to see the new light show and the new on the field stuff as well, I believe, right? Or did we see that against UMass? Did we see the on the field celebration?
I don't think so. I wasn't. I left at the end of the quarter.
Oh, well. Well, so I've been looking at this game, and I love that Auburn does play Samford every so often because I do like Samford is one of those teams I always forget it's in Alabama. And I thought they were in Georgia for the longest time of my life because it was just I don't know what it was. Just I think the Samford confusion and the Bulldogs. I just assume that's a Georgia thing. So I've been looking at this game, and I think this is going to be a game where Hugh Freeze might find his way opening up the offense a little bit to kind of show, hey, here's the playbook. Use it well, because next week is going to be a whole other
ball game.
Yeah. And that's going to be a hard game for me to predict, because if Auburn goes into Samford and doesn't look like they've improved very much, I do not want to pick Texas A&M. I don't want to do it. I might just refuse to do it and just drink some haterade and just pick Auburn anyways, no matter how they look. I think this is going to be a game where you need to utilize Peyton Thorne's arm as much as possible, and use Robbie Ashford's arm as well. I think you need to prove to me that the two quarterbacks, I will prove to the fan base more, but me mostly, that Robbie Ashford is an implementable quarterback in this system in terms of both using his legs and his arm, because you're not going to fool SEC defenses if you're just going to run quarterback power O 4 times in the red zone. That's going to get stuffed by every defense from here to Timbuktu, every FBS team. I need to see a 100-yard rusher in a game. If that's Robbie Ashford, fine. If it's Damari Alston, awesome. If it's Starquest Hunter rushing 150, I need to see that too. I think Auburn's going to win this game. I'm going to give it 56-10.
Like it. Love it. Want more of it. Got me feeling a little bit loopy, gentlemen. And if you're feeling loopy back at home, for our viewers, listeners, loop enthusiasts, you can pick up your very own Feelin' Loopy t-shirt on the War Report website. That's www.thewarreport.com. Dylan just threw it up on the stream for those of you guys watching the YouTube version of the show. They are $25, and we certainly appreciate you for picking one up. They're 5 different colors. College Loop War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirt, most comfortable shirt you'll ever wear. 10 out of 10 John Conleys recommend it, and if they all do, then that means you got to go grab one yourself. Gentlemen, let's make our picks around the rest of college football. Dylan's got a lineup of mostly fun games. There are some of the games of all time this week.
This is the slate of the year.
This is one of the slates of the year.
One of them.
Yeah, like
one of the 13.
As John Conley and I would say, one of the slates of all time.
Right.
Let's get to work on that one. John, you are 6-4.
Well, hold on, Tar. You're forgetting something. We need to tell everybody that we keep everybody in the loop.
We get in the loop. Let's get outside the loop for a second.
There you go. I can't believe you almost forgot.
I did almost forget, but that's all right. All right, Dylan, let's roll through these.
All right, starting off, of course, John, you did go 6-4. Y'all doubted my picks in terms of picking Miami, who I've been very high on Miami ever since Mark Cristobal got there. And you're out here sleeping on Sarkisian? That's wild. Can't lie. But yes, John, you went 6-4 last week, and I think it might count you as separately per week, whatever hat you're wearing this week. Now, today you're John Conley Samford edition. You still have to beat Johnny Deppen, who is still sitting at 7-3. Me and Tar, I am a game behind you at 10-10. You are at 11-9. And if I just didn't trust my Blazers to, not get whooped by the Georgia Southern Eagles, I probably would have been tied with you. But it sucks.
2 quick words: hail and Southern. So we're just gonna roll with that.
Gave you a chance to get it in anyways, even though we weren't gonna pick Georgia Southern. But to start off, we got an 11 a.m. game. The Penn State Nittany Lions travel to Champaign, Illinois, to take on the Brett Bielema-led Illinois Fighting Illini. Penn State is currently a 14.5-point favorite, and they are also my team that I have picked to win the national championship. So throw that out there as well. John, who you got?
This is pretty easy. Give me Penn State.
Penn State cover.
Yep.
Oh, Penn State big cover. And then throwing over to the SEC, you got the LSU Tigers, and are 14th ranked after losing to Florida State 2 weeks ago. Another team that I'm very high on this year. Travel to Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi, and LSU is a 9.5-point favorite over the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I'll go ahead and start this one off. LSU no cover.
It's time to dust the cobwebs off the cowbells. We're gonna go with LSU, but yeah, I agree. I don't think they're gonna cover. I think this is gonna be a good close game.
Yeah, I'm also gonna rock with the Tigers here. I do think this game is gonna be, like y'all said, this might be a 3 to 6 point game. Keeping it SEC, but throwing a little Big 12 into the mix. Got the number 15 ranked Kansas State Wildcats traveling to Columbia of the Missouri variety to play the Missouri Tigers. Kansas State is only a 4-point favorite against the Missouri Tigers.
I've gone back and forth on this game, but I think K-State's good enough. And I apologize to a friend of the program, friend of John and I, Miss Caroline Roche, the current junior at the University of Missouri, but I am going to take Kansas State no cover.
My friends, this is free money. Missouri sucks. Give me K-State. Give me to them by at least a score, like by at least 7 or more. This is easy. Missouri is they're just this is not going to be that all entertaining of a game. Give me the Wildcats.
Yeah, I'm also going to be rocking with the Kansas State Wildcats. They are my pick to win the Big 12. Texas is still a team that I'm worried about ruining that for me, but I do think that Kansas State still has a chance to at least be the runner-up for the Big 12. And
to the UCF Knights, you're right.
I don't know about that.
Gus Buzz.
They barely won the Auburn payroll bowl last week, so let's chill out a little bit about UCF competing this year. And then going to go back to the Big Ten, playing the ACC powerhouse in only basketball. Minnesota travels to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, take on the North Carolina Tar Heels in a game that UNC is favored by 7.5.
Drake May's a dog. UNC to cover.
I'm going to go UNC, but I don't think they're going to cover. I think this is going to be a closer game. PJ Fleck plays in a lot of close games, and I think this one's not going to be any different.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the UNC Tar Heels. I think that their offense, Drake May is like Tar, as you said, a dog. And I think, if UNC can find some steam, he might be in the Heisman conversation. But he just needs a defense that's competent.
Drake May, you are an Arizona Cardinal.
I don't think he's going to be any higher drafted than highly drafted as Caleb Williams will be.
If Caleb Williams goes to the draft, my man, he doesn't want to play in Arizona.
I wouldn't want anyone wish to have to play for Arizona.
Hey, all I'm saying is, yeah, I completely agree. I would not want to be in Phoenix, Arizona.
Get Owen out of there, bro.
And then now for a fun game, we have the Sun Belt playing the Big 12. We have the South Alabama Jaguars taking on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. OK State's only a 7-point favorite in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
It's because Oklahoma State's pretty suspect this year. Oklahoma State, though, no cover.
You know what? I'm going to show some love to my Sun Belt boys. Give me the Jags. Give me the Jaguars to win this game. It's going to be super close. It's going to be probably a 3-point game or so. But go ahead and give me Jaguars, man.
John, you're so intuitive because I am also going to be rocking with the South Alabama Jaguars in this game. I just don't think – I think Oklahoma State is surprisingly 2-0 at this point. I forgot who they played.
Unbelievably 2-0.
Yeah, I did not think they were going to come out with that win against Arizona State. That surprised me. But I do think South Alabama is the better team, and I think they're probably also in a better spot right now.
Also, Oklahoma State's running a 5-quarterback system.
Hey, as a fan of a team that's running the 2-quarterback system, I always support playing more quarterbacks.
Yeah, why not?
One of them has to perform well.
Just put all 5 of them in the backfield. Screw the receivers. Just wild card.
Dude, exactly. Keep that going. Now go to SEC versus SEC opponent. You got a rivalry going on. Number 11, Tennessee, travels to Gainesville, Florida, take on the Florida Gators. And Tennessee is only a 6-point favorite for this game.
Mr. Conley, go ahead.
So this one's an interesting one because I understand why it's a 6-point favorite because you have to look at the history behind this. The Vols have not won in Gainesville since 2003. 20 years ago was the last time they won in Gainesville. So there's a lot behind that. And Joe Milton has to find that ability to play that he did against Clemson in the Orange Bowl. He still has to get to that point. He hasn't gotten there just yet. With that being said, though, I'm going to rock with the Vols. I think the Vols have enough firepower on offense to get it done. And, this Billy Napier team, it's just it struggles at times, big. And so there's a lot of history writing behind it with Gainesville having a big winning streak against Tennessee. But I think the Vols are going to finally knock that one down.
Every streak must eventually die. So I'm just going to go ahead and go now here, Dylan. This Napier team stinks. Billy Napier is probably not going to finish the season as head coach at Florida. Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Give me the balls. Balls covered big.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Tennessee here. I don't. This game might end up being weirdly close, and Rocky Top will be saying on Saturday night. Also, NCAA 14 has made me sometimes like hate playing Tennessee because Tennessee will play Rocky Top for like the simplest things, like a tackle on a kickoff return after I just got like 40 yards on it.
Yeah, because it goes hard.
Or I get a 10 yards and I get like a big hit, and they're like, "Oh, let's play Rocky Top for this." I mean, it's a weird thing that NCAA 14 implemented to just have them play that for every play. And Tar, I implemented you a little bit on the next prediction. I know you're a big Yacket fan, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets will travel to Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi, to take on the number 17 Ole Miss Rebels, who that score's a liar. They struggled against Tulane last week.
Yeah, they did. And Jackson Dart's still good. He's gotten better and has improved me every single week, impressed me every single week with his continual improvement. Georgia Tech would be a great sneaky upset pick this week. They really would be, in my opinion. Haynes King's been balling. Brent Key, the leadership difference between Brent Key and Jeff Collins is night and day. It is clear that this team is actually bought in, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get to where Georgia Tech thinks they can be. Like I said, there'd be a fantastic upset pick this week. I will not do it. Ole Miss will not cover.
I like how you called it an upset pick. Because I've been looking at the Georgia Tech team, and
oh my God, you'll do anything. You'll do anything to prey on Ole Miss's downfall.
I mean, it's the bit. I live by it. I would die by it. If I go 0-12 every week on picking Ole Miss games, I will do it. Haynes King, for some reason, has decided to leave College Station, go to Atlanta, Georgia, and then learn how to throw a football.
Yep.
Georgia Tech has a quarterback that will throw the football well. I have never seen that as someone who very rarely watches Georgia Tech. But Tar, I bet you could also agree with that statement.
Been a long time.
But sadly, I don't think Georgia Tech's going to win, but I do think they're going to cover. I'm going to go Ole Miss. Sadly.
This is a game that if this game was next year, I would be pretty hard pressed to go ahead and actually pick Tech, because I think what Brent Key is doing is working. Everyone that I've ever talked to, I have family that's massive Tech fans. Obviously, you're a huge Tech fan. You guys love Brent Key, and he's just brought an energy and a culture and has like completely changed that program from when he first took it as an interim. With that, though, this Ole Miss team is super, super talented. Jackson Dart looks incredible. It's crazy that I don't even know if he'll be in even any consideration or voting for the Heisman, just because of what we're seeing out in the West Coast with Sanders boys and Caleb Williams and all that and everything in Colorado. But give me Ole Miss here to win this game. Next year, though, if there's a chance, I mean, Georgia Tech's going to be good next year. I really do believe that, especially in the revamped cross country conference.
That's right.
That's going to be there with the adding of Cal and Samford.
I would say this Ole Miss defense, very, very, very suspect.
Yeah, extremely suspect.
Yeah. So, I mean, if there was ever going to be a week for them to lose before SEC play, the Yackets can do it. And believe me, I will be repping my Georgia Tech hat during this game.
We already know.
Yeah, believe even though I'm going to be in Jordan Hare Stadium, so I will be wearing it in spirit. And now for a weird moral game, you have the BYU Cougars traveling to Fayetteville, Arkansas, to take on the Razorbacks in Razorback Stadium. Arkansas is currently an 8-point favorite to play the Cougars.
Yeah, look, BYU is just not that good this year. Arkansas to cover.
Yeah, Arkansas to cover. Sam Pittman has his team rolling really well right now. KJ Jefferson's been playing good. Give me Arkansas to cover.
I don't know about covering. I do think Arkansas is going to win this game. I don't think they're going to cover. After last week, I'm just not impressed with the Arkansas team. Barely beating Kent State 20-6, but also this BYU team is terrible. Sam Houston State in their first year in the FBS lost to BYU 14-0. I think this game's going to be weirdly gross. If there was ever going to be a game that was going to end 3-2, it would be this disgusting game. This game is going to be like 10-7 at half, and then it may be 13-10 final score. That is what I am thinking. But yeah, I'm also going to go with the Arkansas Razorbacks here. I just don't think that this game is going to be a fun watch for anybody that chooses to watch it. And now to throw it over to a rivalry that I think needs more love, as someone who has one of these sides in his blood. The Pitt Panthers traveled to Morgantown, West Virginia, in Milan Puskar Stadium to play the West Virginia Mountaineers. West Virginia is somehow a 2.5-point favorite.
That's pretty easy to be a 2.5-point favorite when you're playing Pitt. Pitt reeks this year. I mean, they are really bad. This is bad versus worse. West Virginia, don't touch the money. Don't touch anything other than the money line here, folks. Matter of fact, just don't touch this game. I'm taking WVU. It really could go either way. West Virginia being at home helps.
Yeah, this is as much of a toss-up. Yeah, that line is awful. I would not want to put any money on that line. I will say I will never root for any team called the Mountaineers. So give me the Panthers.
That's hardcore.
What Mountaineer team are you referring to?
The team from Boone,
App
North
State.
Carolina.
App State. That hit me as soon as I said it. I do love App State a little bit though. This game is weird to me because and gross. It's also gross because I have family that's big West Virginia fans, and I have even gone as far whenever I would travel to West Virginia, I would bring my Pitt hat and my Marshall hat and wear those religiously, strictly just to mess with them. But Pitt's not good. Keaton Slovis is gone. Phil Jurkovich is here, and Phil Jurkovich is a guy who could be very good at quarterback, but he has just chosen to not be over the past couple of years. And I just, again, like y'all said, Pitt lost to a Cincinnati team. I love Cincinnati. I thought Cincinnati was going to have a down year, but they beat Pitt. And I still think Neil Brown's going to get fired before this football season's over with, but I do think he's going to find a way to win the backyard brawl this year. So give me WVU in the backyard brawl this year. And now to wrap up our 10-game slate, I miscounted. I actually put up 9 games, so I had to add this one in as a late addition. Game Day said this is the game of the week. I don't see how it is, but we're going to predict Colorado State at Colorado. Colorado somehow a 24-point favorite. It's in Boulder, Colorado. Colorado's number 18 in the country. I don't understand how this. I look at the spread. I look at the teams. I look at everything going on. I don't understand how in the world Game Day is going to this game.
Yeah, I don't either. Colorado covers. 24 is huge, but I still think they cover. Colorado State reeks. They've been horrible ever since Mike Bobo ran them into the ground. And Colorado is not good either, but they're way better than Colorado State. They've got the dudes that can just out-talent Colorado State. I still want it to be perfectly clear that Colorado, in my opinion, is the most fraudulent top 25 team in the top 25. They are a ticking time bomb. But I'm taking the Buffs, and I'll be real with you right now. They're fun to watch. They're really fun to watch right now. They will not be when they get to get to the gauntlet of their Pac-12 schedule.
They have Oregon next week.
Oregon. They will get their ass handed to them next week. But they're fun right now, and Shedeur Sanders is really, really good. So is Travis Hunter, but oh my God, Shedeur Sanders is good.
Yeah. The reason why Game Day is here is because they want to cover an undefeated, prime coach team. And would it be awesome to go 4-0, both teams, Oregon and Colorado 3-0 going to Autzen Stadium? That would be cool. But they don't want to go to Eugene. They want to stay here in Boulder. And their dream scenario is Colorado beats Oregon, and then you have USC going into Boulder. That is the perfect college game day that they want, but they can't guarantee that. And I don't think they are predicting it. I think they think that Oregon's going to beat Colorado. I think Oregon's going to beat Colorado. And so because of that, that's why game day is here, so they can go ahead and get the undefeated. Everything's hyped up. That place is going to be crazy for game day. But Colorado's going to walk all over Colorado State, especially with, Deion finds ways to get these players hyped up for any game and every game. And when you heard the comments from Colorado State's coach and Deion saying, oh, this is now personal, this made it personal, these guys are going to want to make a statement over this team. They're going to destroy the Rams.
I do wonder, where do Colorado and Colorado State fans rank this rivalry at in terms of like college football? Like, do they rank it high?
No.
I've never. This is not like a rivalry I take seriously.
No.
If it is one, I do not think that. I think this rivalry that ESPN is trying to push and that Deion and Colorado State's head coach is trying to push, it just isn't working, because this game is going to be over by the end of the first quarter. Shedeur Sanders is going to throw for 300 in the first half. He's going to be taken out, and then whichever Shiloh Sanders might be put in at quarterback, just so Deion can prove that he has the athletic genetic, like
we've never seen,
like the old pipe. This game is going to be gross in the way that you're going to turn this game off as soon as the first quarter ends, because this game's not going to be close. Colorado State is just not a good team. They have never been, as far as I can think of. Any team that takes Jim McElwain and calls him a good coach, I cannot put trust into.
And Mike Bobo.
Oh, dear Lord. I don't know the name of this coach, but I'm sure he'll be a SEC head coach or coordinator at some point in his career, based on that track record. Hopefully Alabama's, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, this game's going to be ugly. This game is going to get ugly. Shedeur Sanders is going to throw for 500 yards, and Colorado's going to somehow jump up to the top 15 for the Oregon game, and they're going to go to Eugene next week. I got money on that. And they're going to bleed this out as much as possible. This is going to be like a 30-year-old cow trying to get milk out of it by the end of the season. I love Deion Sanders. I love Colorado. You need to push the brakes a little bit.
That's right.
On the hype train.
That's right.
Now, that ends our 10-game slate. I do have a bonus talking point to talk about.
Sure.
So this week we get another SEC matchup in terms of South Carolina Gamecocks traveling to Sanford Stadium to play the Georgia Bulldogs, who are the number one team in the country. But I don't think that it's for a reason. I think it's just because they won the championship last year, so you can't really move them down because they're still beating these high school level teams.
Also, nobody's looked great in college football yet. Like, no team has looked like a clear number one.
Texas, Florida State, I would give some props to, because they've beaten good teams.
Okay.
But Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia haven't looked the best. And I give Michigan some props because they're killing teams, but they have the weakest 3-game slate out of anybody in FBS.
Taking care of their opponents.
True. I just don't think Georgia should be ranked number one. But my question is, can South Carolina cover against Georgia? That's 27.5 points.
I don't know. I hate that answer, but I mean, my gut tells me yes. 27.5 is huge. 28 points is a lot. If there's something that we know about Spencer Rattler, is that he's going to turn the football over. If there's something we know about this Georgia team, is that if they're going to ride on something, it's going to be their defense. I'll say sure. John, your thoughts?
I just looked at, I want to do a little bit of math here. Since 2019, whenever South Carolina last beat Georgia with that team, with Javon Kinlaw, that was a fun team to watch. Georgia has won with a plus differential of 29 in 2020, 27 in 2021, and 41 in 2022. Now, the 2022 Georgia team is probably their best team to ever play. Like that team was incredible. Yeah. This team is not that team, but Kirby, from what he experienced 3 years ago, he never wants that to repeat. And he's going to make sure that never happens and ever comes close to it again. So, I'm going to say I think they'll cover. I think they will. There was a lot of hype going into this game last year, and Georgia just shut it down immediately and answered a lot of maybe questions that people had, because that was also early in the season.
Right.
And so, I think Georgia gets it done. I think it's probably going to be right in the middle between the 2021 and 2022 matchup, some 30-point difference.
Okay.
I don't think Georgia covers. I think that this team. I'm not going to call them fraudulent because I already thought it was going to be Bama fodder for the locker room this past week for Nick Saban. I don't think I want to be Kirby Smart's made up chip on his shoulder that he comes up with every so often. It works, but also it's so dumb. Kirby Smart paints his players off like they are just freakishly athletic, but also freakishly not smart. That is how Kirby Smart talks about his teams. They're like, "Oh, this team is good," but I can trick them into thinking that someone thinks they're going to go 7-5. I think South Carolina is going to find a way to make this game grossly close. I still think Georgia wins by 17-20, but they will not get that 27-28 threshold. This is not Carson Beck is not Stetson Bennett, which is still a gross thing to say out loud. Beamer ball is now an air raid attack because Beamer ball can't run the ball, so that's weird. Fun fact: South Carolina's leading rusher is their former quarterback turned wide receiver turned running back.
Right.
So yeah, Dakereon Joyner, who has been there, I think, since Steve Spurrier.
Yeah,
he might have been. But I think South Carolina's going to find a way to make this game close in the halftime, and then Georgia's going to put up 10 more points in the second half, and then they're going to win the game by 20.
Yeah, well.
I have a quick question, and this is kind of going to be real for the conversation. At what point do we just kind of realize that Beamer ball doesn't exactly work, and that maybe South Carolina should just look for a different direction?
I'm not ready for that yet because I think it does. And I say this, Conley, because I hope to God that there's some 3 or 4 South Carolina fans that are watching today's show because I'm really about to anger you. There's a ceiling at the University of South Carolina. There's a definitive ceiling. You can say what you want about Clemson being down this year or whatever, and you talk about my horrendous take about I thought Clemson was going to be so good, whatever. As long as Dabo Swinney is still coaching at Clemson, USC will never be Clemson. And actually, the palace that Dabo has built in Clemson, South Carolina, which, by the way, even if this is a down year, it'll be a 10-win season. It's not going anywhere, even years after he retires, rides off into the sunset, whatever that looks like. And that's a long ways off. South Carolina is not a premier destination for football talent. It's not. Columbia is a tough sell for a lot of athletics. Outside of, Dawn Staley's mastered it in women's basketball, but outside of that, South Carolina is just not what I think a lot of South Carolina fans think they are. I think if you're 8-4, 9-3 at South Carolina, and I do think that Shane Beamer can get to being a perennial, like at that threshold, I think you're fine. Like I think that's where you should, I guess, the space you should be okay operating with. Now, are South Carolina fans okay with that? Probably not, because they think they can be national championship contenders. I do think Beamer ball works for that level, though, if that makes sense. It's almost like if you were to put Shane Beamer at Georgia Tech and or something of that nature, put him at like a Boston College, so something on those like perennial strugglers, and you say you can win 7 to 9 games every year, boosters are happy. I think that he's a great players coach. I don't think he's the most intelligent X's and O's guy. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's a brilliant.
I would say Beamer ball is averaging 53 yards a game right now, and they've played a UNC who doesn't have the best defense.
It's averaging 53 yards a game this year. It has worked in the past couple of years, and they have gotten more out of their players than we expected them to. But to Conley's point, it should be on our radar now. It should be saying, okay, has Shane Beamer hit that threshold that this is going to be a low blow, guys? And I'm sorry. Similar to what his dad did at Virginia Tech. Hit that threshold of this is as good as we can be. At what point do we say that? And at what point does South Carolina have to make a decision and say, so maybe we think this guy can take us to the next level. Maybe we can win 10, 11, 12 games one season with this guy. Maybe we don't think that's Shane Beamer, but I don't know. It should be on the radar, John. You're right, but I don't think it doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Because they got 8 wins last year. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree to a lot of your points, Tar, of saying, like, I think what Shane Beamer does in the way that he obviously he's an incredible players coach. Players love Shane Beamer and they love Beamer ball. And at a more like mid tier, not that top, at a mid tier, if you threw him in the American or something like that, he would dominate. It would be a fun watch. My thing is with South Carolina, you are in the SEC, and so there is some sort of higher expectation. Now, yes, there's Vanderbilt, there's Missouri. Missouri's at least been to a couple SEC title games since they've joined.
Back to back.
At some point, you do have to understand that, like, yes, Georgia is their top dog in the SEC East. You've got to find a way to compete at least a couple times.
Right.
Have 1 year where it's a down year for Georgia. You can sneak in like what Florida did in 2020. Florida had a really good team that year. That was a really, really good Florida team. And Florida's one of the powerhouses of the SEC traditionally.
Sure.
I think with South Carolina, I mean, Shane Beamer's fun to watch. Beamer ball, when it's rolling, it's fun to watch. My only thing is the Beamer ball that we love to watch only really catches fire 6-7 weeks a season.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to compete in the SEC, it's got to compete. It's got to show up 9 to 11, if not all 12.
Right. I agree with you completely. That's a good takeaway and a good way to end today's preview show. Got dinner on the stove, so I'm gonna go get me some spaghetti here in just a minute. John, thank you so much for joining us, brother. Really, really good to see you. Really good to hear from you. Certified ball knower, Swiss Army knife, John Conley. Let everybody know where they can find you and love you and hang out.
Absolutely. You can find me on all of my social media platforms at JohnLee49, Instagram, the Bird app, whatever you want to call it. It's there. I'm always down to interact and hang out. I love tweeting out and having fun conversations and talking ball.
That's right. And for those of you guys who don't know, John and I are very fierce competitors in college football grids. So if you guys want to tweet John what your college football grid score that day is, I guarantee you he will mention it. He will respond to you, and he will definitely mention it to me and say, how the hell did this guy, or how the heck did this guy get such a low score? But when, you and I are over here like, dude, I got a 57 today. What the heck? But always a pleasure talking ball with you, John. I'm Harrison Tarr. I'm Harrison Tarr on the Bird app, on X, whatever you want to call that, on Threads if you want to come hang out there as well. If you're watching the YouTube stream, the number one thing you can do to support us, we'd love for you to go get a Feeling Loopy shirt. That would mean the world to us. But the number one thing you can do to support us is hit that subscribe button. So subscribe, like this video, hit subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you stay up to date with all the latest content. We've got lots and lots of content we're continually rolling out week to week right here on the College Loop. It means the world to us. Drop your score predictions on this video. We're ready to hear them. What do you want to see from Auburn on against Samford on Saturday? Want to hear your takes? We'll feature those on the Sunday show. See if you guys, I guess, wish list got answered. If I tried Hugh Freezer clause yesterday, by the way, John, did not go well.
Oh no, I heard it.
So I won't do that again. But if
that was bad
on your wish list, we will discuss that on the Sunday live stream. That's 7 Central or 6 Central, Dylan?
7 Central.
7 Central. I get it's a whole time zone thing. Yeah, whatever. 7 Central on Sunday evening, and we will talk to you guys again then. Dylan, let's get out of here.
And of course, I'm Dylan Larck at your boy the Tank on Twitter /X at redirects. But I also see that some of you've also found my Twitter because y'all have been nonstop nagging me on there as well. But of course, it's just right there. Go leave me your takes. Go tell me why you hate Robbie Ashford. Go tell me why you love Robbie Ashford. I will accept both until one of y'all gets proven wrong, and I will be very annoying to that very vocal minority. And of course, if you want to follow us here in the College Loop, you have us here on YouTube, where you could like, comment, subscribe, leave your predictions, like Tar said, and also tell us who you want starting quarterback. And also, what do you want to see from Auburn this weekend before they have to travel to College Station next weekend? And if you have us on social media, you have us on TikTok, Twitter, X as well, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm blanking on what I think. TikTok. Did I say TikTok already?
You didn't say TikTok. I don't think you did.
We don't use it much anyways. So, yeah. And, of course, with all that being said, this has been the College Loop pregame show for Samford